Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. He was an American Baptist minister, activist, humanitarian, and leader in the African American civil rights movement. King was a middle child with older sister Willie Christine and younger brother Alfred Daniel Williams. King enjoyed singing and sang in the choir. He eventually became a member of the junior choir in his church. In high school, King was known for his public speaking ability. He was a member of the school's debate team. At the age of 15, King passed an entrance exam for Morehouse College and enrolled. Right before his last year there, 18-year-old King joined the ministry. In 1948, he graduated from Morehouse and enrolled in Crozer Theological Seminary in Chester, Pennsylvania, which he graduated from in 1951. King married Coretta Scott on June 18, 1953. The couple had 4 children together. In 1954, King became pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama. He was just 25 years old. On December 1, 1955, Rosa Parks was arrested for not giving up her seat on the bus so that white people could sit down. That night, E.D. Nixon, head of the local NAACP, met with King and other civil rights leaders to plan a citywide bus boycott. King was elected to lead the boycott. Through 382 days of walking, harassment, violence, and court cases, eventually Montgomery lifted the law mandating segregated buses. In January 1957, Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph Abernathy, and 60 ministers and civil rights activists started the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Their goal was to help conduct nonviolent protests to promote civil rights reform. Their first project was to try and give African Americans a voice through voting in America. In 1959, King traveled to India to visit Gandhi's birthplace. This trip influenced King even more to dedicate himself to the principles of nonviolence. In February 1960, a brave and determined group of African American students began what became known as the sit-in movement in North Carolina. The students sat at racially segregated lunch counters, and when asked to leave or sit in the colored section, they just remained seated. Martin Luther King heard of this and encouraged his students to continue using nonviolent protest methods. By August of 1960, the sit-ins resulted in ending segregated lunch counters in 27 cities. Martin Luther King and his supporters began to make a plan for a massive demonstration on the nation's capital, asking for peaceful change. On August 28, 1963, more than 200,000 people came to the Capitol for the historic March on Washington. This is when King made his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, telling the country his hopes that one day all men can be brothers and skin color will not matter. In 1964, the passage of the Civil Rights Act authorized the federal government to enforce desegregation and outlawing discrimination in public facilities. This also led to King winning the Nobel Peace Prize for 1964. On April 4, 1968, King was assassinated, standing outside his hotel room in Memphis. The assassin was James Earl Ray. After a long manhunt, he was caught and sentenced to 99 years in prison. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and work have been honored with a national holiday, schools, public buildings named after him, and a memorial on Independence Mall in Washington, D.C.